Thanks to everyone who's joining us today. I'm Danny Gawlowski, Senior Manager of Communications at the Carbon to Sea Initiative. Carbon to Sea is a nonprofit effort evaluating whether the ocean can help us mitigate the impacts of climate change by removing carbon from the atmosphere. There has been rapidly growing interest in research of ocean alkalinity enhancement, or OAE. And Carbon to Sea has been at the center of many of those efforts for safe and responsible research. As we reach our third year of existence, we wanted to take a moment to reflect on the impact that Carbon to Sea has made so far. And to do that, we're going to be hearing from Carbon to Sea Executive Director, Dr. Antonius Gagern.
Hi, Danny.
Hi, how are you doing?
Very well.
Thanks so much for joining us. To get started, I just said ocean alkalinity enhancement, but there's still a lot of folks who haven't heard of it or don't truly understand what it means. So could you walk us through it?
Yeah, I don't blame people for not having heard about ocean alkalinity enhancement before. It's still a very young field with maybe 1,000 people at this point who are actively working in it. And ocean alkalinity enhancement is not one thing. It is actually a family of approaches that have the goal to remove CO2 from the atmosphere by ever so slightly increasing the alkalinity of seawater. This is a natural process that we know has, over hundreds of millions of years, removed many billions of tons of CO2 from the atmosphere, and the various ocean alkalinity enhancement, or OAE, pathways are really asking the question whether there is an accelerated way in which we can counteract climate change by adding alkalinity safely into seawater.
So knowing that there was promise in OAE, tell me about some of the initial goals that you had for this new organization before it was even called Carbon to Sea.
On paper, ocean alkalinity enhancement is incredibly attractive because of the scale and the durability of CO2 removal. But once you go into the real world, things become messy. And there are a number of questions that for every CO2 removal pathway, one has to really very carefully evaluate before attempting to try it in the real world or even scale it. And some of these questions include the efficacy. Does it actually work? Is it as efficient as it might seem on paper? Does it have unintended environmental consequences that we don't know about and that we want to avoid? Is it cost effective, and can we measure it? So these were some of the really biggest questions that were at the time when we launched Carbon to Sea entirely unresolved. There were a few theoretical exercises that tested the potential of OAE, but there was hardly any laboratory evidence or let alone field research to validate these assumptions.
So the field has changed a lot. How has Carbon to Sea changed as well to meet the moment where we are now?
Carbon to Sea started as an R&D effort, a very focused 5-year R&D program that sought to answer systematically the most critical questions of ocean alkalinity, viability, and desirability. Over time, as the private sector has started to engage more, as governments have started to engage more, we have also built a team in the US and outside of the US to engage with both market and governments, both to translate the science that is being learned and communicate and educate stakeholders across government and private sector, so that R&D is accelerated in the areas that we need it, and that enablers and guardrails are established for an emerging sector.
And in forming this team, what is it that you hope we can accomplish?
What I see as the big goal of the Carbon to Sea initiative in the next years is to avoid one of two mistakes that society could make in the face of a complicated crisis and a challenging set of solutions. One mistake would be to too quickly accept a CO2 removal pathway as promising, safe, and effective, and just open the floodgates to scale it. The other mistake would be to too quickly close the doors to a pathway or to a set of pathways that seem complicated or are less well understood or known to the general audience, but carry a lot of potential. And our organization will work really hard in the next years to hold that middle and avoid either one of those mistakes.
As we work towards that future, I'm curious, what are some of the things that keep you up at night? And what are some of the things that give you hope?
Fortunately, work doesn't keep me up at night. But if I had to say what worries me most about the sector potentially is that it moves too fast or it moves too slow. We need to have the patience to really thoroughly investigate every question while at the same time building a sector that is enabled to contribute to CO2 removal that we need to scale very fast. And what I'm very hopeful about is that the community of practitioners that has emerged over the past few years, which now is really hundreds of people across science and government and industry, are actually have the integrity and joint vision to build a science-based, science-informed CO2 removal pathway, or to reject it if we if the science points to it not being effective or not being safe or not being cost-effective. I actually have quite some optimism seeing who the people are in this community of practitioners, which most of them I know well, that they will have the integrity to make these decisions cautiously and carefully.
Antonius, you're a father. I'm a father too. And why do you think that this work is so essential in order to hand off a planet worth living on for our kids?
Climate change is really a long-term, slowly developing threat that is emerging like a storm on the horizon. And we have to do as much as we possibly can within this generation and the next generation and the next, and for many generations to come, to prepare for it, to build the defense mechanisms against it, to mitigate it as much as possible. And I hope to contribute as much as possible in my generation to that goal as possible.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who joined us and is watching this today. If you're interested in following the work of Carbon to Sea, and as we've said, it's a quickly advancing field. So if you'd like to follow along with those updates, please subscribe to our newsletter at www.carbontosea.org. We hope to see you there and in future updates. Again, thank you, Antonius. It's been a really impressive past few years, and I'm looking forward to the years to come.
Thank you.